There we go. So again, a very, very warm welcome to everybody who's going to be listening to the recording. Thank you so much for taking time out to join in the session. At this stage, we have completed part one. You've got all your feedback for part one. Part two, you should have already submitted as well. So part two is in. I haven't had a look at part two yet, but I'm going to try and mark it as quickly as possible, and obviously try and give you as much feedback as possible so that you can submit part three, which is due. I will tell you in a second. When is this final one part? So there, it's the 25th of October. So we've got quite a lot of work still to look at for that. And then remember, we have submitting the final POE then in November, early in November. So this is sort of the third and final building block of what we are going to be doing in terms of the whole POE. So up until this stage, in task one, just to recap, we looked at our business idea. We looked at how the business idea is going to work. We looked at a business name. We looked at a product that we are going to sell or a service that we are going to be selling. And then in part two, we looked at a few ethical dilemmas. We looked at some environmental analysis. So we looked at some of the factors that would impact our business. And now when we look at part two or task three, we're going to continue on from those things. So you're going to use the same idea. Remember, we are not changing ideas at this stage. We stick to the same idea. In part three, we're going to focus on franchising. We're going to focus on some ethical points that we need to think about. We're going to look at drawing up a code of ethics for our business. And then we are going to look at how we're going to run the business. So what are some of the functional areas that we need as part of our business? So please, ladies and gents, if you have any questions, please let me know at any stage and then I can answer them. If you are listening to the recording and you are unsure about something, please once again reach out to me and let me know if there are any problems. So remember, this is task three. You submit it as a separate task, so you don't have to submit task one and task two. Task three is a separate task on its own. You submit in the same way that you would have done all your previous tasks as well. It consists of 4 different questions. Oh, guys, this is I see it has changed the color now when this loaded up. So I'm just going to read it to you. I know you can't really see it. I don't know why I changed color like that. Sure, but that looks quite bad. But don't stress. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it to you in any case. Okay, so it says, starting up and managing a business requires one to act responsibly and ethically at all times. It is imperative that one carefully considers the management team and the opportunities that franchising will present to a business to create a bigger brand name and an increased market share. In this task, you will discuss some aspects of franchising and you will develop a brief code of conduct for your business. In order to complete this task, you are expected to conduct some desktop research. Okay, so this is just basically what we're going to be looking at as an introduction. So in this assignment, we're going to be looking at, if we franchise, what are we going to do? What are some of the ethical dilemmas we need to consider? And we're going to look at how would we manage? What is our management team? What are the functional areas that we are going to focus on within this task? So we've got 4 different questions. Each one of them is weighted differently. And those 4 questions will then make up task 3 of your POE part that you would need to do. The first one, as we can see, is all about, and I think we did speak quite a bit about it when we were introducing. The first one is obviously franchising. Okay, so our mark allocation here is 4 marks, and you will see there are 2 very distinct pointers that I need you guys to highlight when you speak about franchising. So the first part that you are going to ask yourself is if this business should consider turning into a franchise. So say now your business needs to franchise. What are you going to franchise? What are the options that you are going to look at to franchise? And you'll see I've given you a reference there in your textbook. So if you open up and I'm just quickly grabbing my copy now as well. If you open up your textbook to page 167, you will see they give you different types and different models. So I just want to highlight that point, that you need to justify both, okay? So you've got the type and model. It's two different components that you need to write about for the full 2 marks. So 2 marks for type and 2 marks for model. So let's break it up in more detail. Let's say your business idea was to create solar panels, for example, and now you want to franchise your solar panel business. What type? So let's first focus on type. What type of business franchise are you going to be looking at? What type of franchise? And here, ladies and gents, you've got two different choices. You can either go with business format franchising, or you can go with product or trade name franchising. So you need to pick the one that is going to be best suited to your business. Okay. So if we look at business format franchising, this is when we have a specific package. All the deliverables, all the services are included in that package. You pay a hands-on fee for it. You pay fees to receive the whole entire system of how the business is going to work. So you get the whole business package for the price that you are paying for it. So typical things like this, the most common example would be, let's say, restaurants. You buy a franchise of, let's say, KFC. You know that the entire business format is going to be sold to you as a franchisee of KFC. You know it's going to be red. You know what the menu is. You know how to prepare the menu. You have the presentation of the food. You have everything else is given to you in terms of your business format franchising that you would have. So that's the first way in which we can franchise, is when we are selling the entire business. The second one that we use is when we are just franchising a specific product or a trade name. So this sometimes is more relevant when we speak about more service type orientated, where we have a brand name. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical building that we have, but we have service levels. We have any other sort of products that we are franchising, but not necessarily the entire business. So we have a trade name on a specific product, and that is what we are going to be selling many times over. So your first thing that you need to choose is, are you going to be business level, or rather business format, versus product franchise? So you need to pick one and justify very briefly which one you're going to do. So you're either going to be business format, or you're going to be product orientated. And then once you have done that, you then select the model, the franchise model. And here, ladies and gents, there are many franchise models. You will see in your textbook, I think they give you at least 15 different types of franchise models that you can use. Is it a joint venture? Is it a company-owned unit? Is it a master franchise? Is it a retail franchise? Is it an investment franchise? Is it a social franchise? So you would pick the model of franchise that is best suited to your business. So you only need to pick one type and one model, and you are going to briefly justify. Please, ladies and gents, for 4 marks, we don't need a whole essay here, but you can briefly justify the type and the model of what you are going to be doing. Let's just pause here and quickly see, are there any questions or concerns at this stage? Okay, perfect. In that case, I'm going to move on with question 2. Thank you so much for confirming, guys. I do appreciate it. Sometimes I feel like I'm going through it quite fast, but I'm hoping that you are still following. So the next one is very specific to your business. You are going to be looking at 3 ethical dilemmas that your business might be faced with. So let's say, for example, you are faced with an ethical dilemma. It's going to be specific to your business. Okay, so It could be absolutely any ethical dilemmas. Remember, if you look on page 206 to 209, they actually list quite a few examples of ethical dilemmas that you would have. So safety of the product, safety of the people, the quality of the product, the advertising, social awareness around it, competitive advertising. So any ethical dilemma that would be relevant to your business. So let's say, for example, just as an example, because we've used this now in our first question, we have got a business that sells special solar panels. Our ethical dilemma will be, for example, that we need to make sure we are installing good quality solar panels, that what we are advertising as high quality is not just junk that comes from China, for example, that we really are supplying good quality, that our products are safe to use, that they are installed safely, and that the products are user friendly. So any ethical dilemma with it, that we are advertising correctly, that there is no harassment within our organization, that the after sales service has been accounted for and that it is good, that anybody who works within the organization is treated in a respectful and an equal and a fair manner. So those are all sorts of ethical dilemmas that an organization can be faced with. You only need to pick 3 of them. So you'll see again in your textbook, there are probably 15 or 16 different ethical dilemmas. You need to highlight 3 ethical dilemmas that would be applicable to your business. If, for example, your business is dealing with a lot of customers, you might find that the employee needs to behave in a certain way. They need to be friendly at all times when they are dealing with employees. So an ethical dilemma might be that some of your employees, need to be trained on how to treat customers, or how do you treat your own employees within the business? Are they all registered for UIF and all the things that they need to be paying with in terms of the government regulations? Are you respecting their culture, their religion? So anything like that is terms of an ethical dilemma. Remember, if in doubt, ask yourself. An ethical dilemma is when I need to make the right choice, even if it is the hard choice. Okay? So that is what I'm talking about when I'm thinking about an ethical dilemma. It might be easier for me to pump my waste into the ocean, but it's ethically not right. I might be saving money because my waste system is going straight into the sea or the dam or whatever, but it's unethical. It is not right. So I'm making more money because I don't have to spend it on waste removal, but it is not right for the business. Okay, so those type of things would be ethical dilemmas. It's going to be cheaper for me to install something that maybe is of a lesser quality. So I'm going to make more money because my costs are lower, but it is not right. It's a dilemma. Am I going to go to make more money, or am I going to do what is actually right for the business and spend a bit more and get good quality inputs or materials that we would need to do it? Okay, so we need to make sure that the goods that we are selling are of a good quality, that we are advertising correctly, that we are taking care of our employees as well as the customers, and that everybody, in the organization feels that their culture is respected, that their gender is respected, and all of those things, as well as part of respecting the people within the organization. So you only need to pick 3 ethical dilemmas. So in your particular organization, what could be faced? Remember, these are something that you haven't faced yet. These are things that you could be faced with. So if we know that this could be an issue, we can address it before it happens. So if we know that we need really good quality inputs or raw materials, we need to make sure we are sourcing good materials. So that is something that could become an ethical dilemma. In order for it not to be an ethical dilemma, we need to make sure that we know what could potentially be cropping up within our business as well. So you need 3 ethical dilemmas. Each ethical dilemma is going to count 2 marks. So a brief discussion on what the ethical dilemma is. So you could just say, for example, quality, and you could have a brief discussion on the quality that you need. Your ethical dilemma could be treating employees fairly. Maybe you have got employees within your organization that are really coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions, different education levels. So how are you going to treat them all fairly, for example? And maybe your third ethical dilemma is that you are looking at, let's just try and think of another one here. You are worried about the safety of your product. So you need to make sure that they are installed safely. It might be easier for you to cut a few corners when the installation or when you are serving, when you are servicing something, but is it ethical or not? So you need a brief definition of how the ethical dilemma is going to be applicable to you. So for 6 marks, there's all the ethical dilemmas listed there. You are welcome to use the ethical dilemmas as they are in the textbook, but you can also go and find some that are more specific to your business as well. Okay, so not too difficult at this stage, ladies and gents. You can just quickly give me a thumbs up or a all okay so that I can move on. Perfect. Thank you so much for confirming. I do appreciate it. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Full house of thumbs up. So that's fabulous. So leading on from question 2, so still speaking about our ethical dilemmas and about acting in the right and wrong way, we now have to move on to question 3, which is actually developing a code of ethics. So we are going to look at 5 different issues that we will look at including into our code of ethics. And here you just have to briefly describe and justify them. So again, guys, not a paragraph needed, a brief description and justification for these issues. So remember, let's go back one step and actually have a look at some of the theory that would be listed here that I have given us here. So all organizations, all businesses will have what we refer to as a code of ethics. So you will remember maybe when you were in school, you had to sign a code of conduct, a code of ethics. Same in businesses. The code of ethics just tells the employees how we're going to act. So it's a set of guidelines that the organization will give everybody in the workplace to say, this is how you should behave. These are our company values, and you need to stick to these values within the company. These are our ethical standards. This is what we expect you to do. This is what is acceptable, and this is what is not acceptable within our business. So we don't have to draw up a whole code of ethics. You'll see in some of the previous years, they had to draw up a code of ethics. But for us, we just need 5 specific issues that you will include in your business. So if you specifically turn onto page 214, sort of right at the bottom where they speak about the specific issues, they will see they give you an entire list of specific issues that the code of ethics will actually deal with. They speak about receiving gifts within the organization. They speak about sexual harassment. They speak about health and safety within the organization. They speak about being dismissed fairly, any grievances that you have. They speak about any conflict of interests or religions within the organization. They speak about keeping information confidential within your organization, any environmental responsibilities that we need to deal with. So any of those would be considered specific issues. You need to pick 5 of them, briefly describe that issue, and justify it in terms of your business. Let's say, for example, that your specific issue is that you are selling something that is using a secret recipe. In your code of ethics, you are going to have the statement to say the information that is shared with the employees is strictly confidential. So that is what the specific issue that you are going to list in your code of ethics. Remember, you don't have to do the entire code of ethics, but you just need to list the 5 specific issues that are related to your business. So it could be, like I mentioned before, due to the nature of the business having sensitive information, all information shared within the organization is strictly confidential. Please note that we will not tolerate, we are a diverse organization. There are people from many different religious backgrounds. Please, we need to respect them. We cannot have conflict of interests within our organization. So that should be another one. We are an organization that prides itself in going green or taking care of the environment. So please make sure that the way that you behave and act within the organization is in line with environmentally friendly behaviors and actions. So that would be the third specific issue that you are going to deal with. So anything like that is going to be absolutely acceptable. And obviously, like I mentioned before, you would need 5 of them in order to get the full 5 marks for this question. So not too difficult. Any specific issues that would be related to your business, so whether that is to do with the employees or whether how you treat your customers, if there are any health and safety regulations, maybe you need to climb scaffolding in your business. So one of the code of ethics is that people need to wear their safety gear all the time. So it's code of ethics. It's written in how they have to behave. They have to make sure that they are wearing their safety gear and. Okay. So that is question 3. Let's just quickly. Oh, fabulous. You see, you knew of what I was going to say, Sunette. Give me a thumbs up there if you're happy with it. So you already read my mind. But I hope that I'm not going too fast. I hope that it is making sense for everyone here at this point. The last question is our 15-mark question, the biggest question of this of the task that you're going to do. So it counts half the marks. And you will see in the question, we are going to speak about the different functional areas within the business. So we are going to look at 5 functional areas. They say at least 5. If you have 1 or 2 extra functional areas that you want to include, you can, but 5 functional areas is more than enough for the purpose of the question. But if you are really adamant or insistent that your business will have 7 functional areas or 6 functional areas, please don't hesitate to put them in. But 5 is more than sufficient for it. So our mark allocation here is we have 5 different functional areas. So sorry, you can see my little scribbling here. And each one of those is going to be worth 3 marks. So each functional area will be 3 marks. Remember, what is a functional area? Another word for our functional area that we have would be different departments within the business. So in order to run our business properly, what departments do we need? Do we need a financial department? Do we need a marketing department? Do we need a supply chain functional area? Do we need human resources? Do we need an administrative function? Do we need a department that's in charge of the PR, the public relations of our organization? So you can choose any 5 functional areas that would be included in your business and briefly explain that functional area, and also please list the tasks that each functional area is going to be responsible for. So before I get into more detail about that, I just want to say at this point, if your business is a sole trader and you are really only a one-man show and there are no other functional areas, please don't just leave it at that. You still need to give some information here. So say, even though at this point in time, my business is completely a sole trader, these are the functional areas that I would love to include in the future. I'm then going to explain. If you just tell me that you're a sole trader, I've got nothing that I can mark you from. So even though you might feel that there are no functional areas, go and do it then for the future. Go and say, one day I would love to have a marketing team or a finance team or a team that's going to be in charge of my sales or whatever it may be. If you are not, so if you are already establishing a business, then you would know that you do need different functional areas within your business. Okay. So list each functional area that you would include in your business and give a brief explanation of that functional area, and also include a task that that function is responsible for. Let's say, for example, for our first one, we have now said that the functional area that we are going to be including in our business is an HR department. So I've said the HR department is a functional area that is responsible for all the employees within the business. A task for the HR team would be to make sure that they are recruiting the correct employee for the specific job that we need to do. Or the function is that they are paying the people, whatever it may be that is part of their role. Then you could go on to number 2. Another functional area that my business would need would be a financial department. This department is in charge of setting up an annual budget and ensuring that people are sticking to the budget. They are also responsible to make sure that the organization is making a profit and that they are not overspending. So that would be a functional area. Another functional area would be marketing. Marketing's task is to create promotions for the business, or create adverts, or to create brand awareness within a business. And you are going to do that 5 times. So you are going to do 5 different functional areas. If you want to do 7, so I think the maximum amount in our textbook that they give us is 7. But if you had to look, there are many, many more functional areas, but the standard for business management is 7 functional areas, but you only need to do 5. So you can choose any 5 that are applicable to your business. Okay, so anything that is applicable to your business. So when I say that, let's say, for example, you have created an app on a phone, you're really not going to have a purchasing department unless you are buying specific software or hardware, something like that. So that's what I'm saying. Just make sure it is applicable to your business area that you would need. So choose 5, a brief definition of what it is, and list the tasks that they would be including. So in your explanation, so you need to explain, you need to define, for example, human resources, financial, marketing, administrative, public relations, purchasing, like I said. So you need to describe 5 functional areas, but very, very important, you also need to list the tasks that each one would be responsible for. So in a nice, neat structure, you would answer that question as what it is there. Okay. And that, ladies and gents, as quick as that was the POE part 3. 4 questions, starting with franchising, moving on to ethical dilemmas, moving on to setting specific issues in our code of conduct, or code of ethics, and then identifying 5 different functional areas that would be applicable for your business. So that basically is part 3. So let me know if there are any other questions. I'm going to still stay online for the rest of the time. Please to still reference. Remember, it's going to go through Safe Assign, edit it. I haven't had any problems yet with this group with the basic editing. So keep working hard. And then obviously you're going to submit, and it's going to be a continuation. I think this slide that's not loading now just said yes. It's a continuous task to task 3, and obviously we are now working on task 3 for it. But yeah, so we are on task 3, and obviously they are all linking to task 1, 2, 3, and obviously the final POE here when we're going to get to that in November. So yes, like you say, Sunette, this is not it's not an extremely difficult task. All these tasks have been relatively simple or nice. It is really one of my favorite assignments to read and to actually mark, because it really is a nice assignment as well. So it's not a difficult assignment. For this task, you are welcome to use your textbook. You can do extra research, but like I say, a lot of the work is sufficient in your textbook. And you'll see when we get to the final POE, that's when you're going to use a little bit more of your creativity and, you know, maybe use different resources as well. On the ICE task, guys, please make sure that you are keeping up to date with ICE tasks. I know I have posted quite a bit about that on VC Learn. Remember, the final ICE task date is the 18th of October. So it has to be in by that the Friday, the 18th of October. All the marks are being submitted on the 20th of October. So obviously I need to have that weekend to still go and mark and read through the ice tasks. So please, if you can, do them before the time. That obviously helps me quite a bit. But the very, very last date for ice tasks would be the 18th of October at midnight. I think most people are up to date, but if you aren't, please just try and catch it up. So that really is all from my side, ladies and gents. I think it's, yeah. So please have a wonderful evening further. If you've got a question, please feel free to stay in the classroom. I'll also stay in the classroom if you've got any questions. Please don't hesitate to ask me. If not, guys, then I wish you guys good luck. I know that it is a very busy season for everyone. I know that you are all busy with assignments and things that are due here and there. So go and work on them, and just remember that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We are getting to the final stages here, and I'm very, very proud of this class. You guys are working hard, you're working consistently. So from my side, just thank you for that as well. Bye, everybody. Perfect. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. I always get your name wrong, but you know I'm talking to you, Lemfotsi and Sune. Thank you so much for joining, and we will catch up soon. Bye.